children, get ready to do another grade 10 science lesson with me. Topic of the lesson today is work, energy and power, that is unit 18 in your textbook. Before I start the lesson, I would like to tell you something about your science syllabus. Your science syllabus basically consists of 3 areas. They are chemistry, physics and biology. When you learn these 3 areas, you will gain 3 competencies. The competency to which physics lessons belong is mentioned here. I will read it for you. Utilizes various forms of energy, their interaction with matter and energy transformations by maintaining efficiency and effectiveness at optimum level. So, when you learn this particular lesson, you will gain the competency level. It is mentioned here. I will read that one as well. Quantifies mechanical energy and power in mechanical processes. First of all, I would like to tell you what we are going to learn today. When you learn this lesson, you should be able to state work done by a force. You should be able to provide equations for work done, explain 2 forms of mechanical energy, define potential energy, state 2 types of potential energy, derive an equation for gravitational potential energy, state factors affecting gravitational potential energy, do simple activities to demonstrate factors affecting gravitational potential energy, and at last you should be able to solve problems related to work done and gravitational potential energy. Before I start the lesson, I have some items to show you. Here I have some items with me to do some activities with you. Wait and see what I am going to do during my lesson. So, let us start the lesson with work. What is work? You might tell the work, school work, cleaning up your home, gardening you must be doing these days, washing clothes and so many things. Is that the meaning of work in physics? Answer is no. The meaning of physics is totally different from the work you are doing in day-to-day life. So, before I give you the definitions of work, I am going to do an activity with you. Here we have a wooden block. Now, I am going to keep this in my hand. Now, when the wooden block is like this, am I doing a work? No. Now, I raise the object up. Now, I have done a work on this object, because in physics work means there is a force and displacement. When I hold the object like this, I feel the force, and you can see there is a displacement as well. So, that is the meaning of work in physics. Let us look at the definitions of work in physics. Work can be simply defined as displacement of an object due to force. In addition to that, work, when a force is acting on an object, if its position or shape is changed under the action of that force, it is said that work is done. Work is also explained as energy transferred to or from an object via the application of force along the direction of displacement. work can also be represented as an equation. So, it can be represented as a product of force and displacement. This is the equation for work done by a force. So, work done by a force can be calculated by multiplying force by the displacement in the direction of force. You have to remember, displacement should be in the direction of the force. So, unit of work, if the force is measured in Newton and if the displacement is measured in meters, unit of work is Newton meter. But remember, SI unit of work is joule. 1 Newton meter equals to 1 joule. So, you have to remember that as well. It is important when you are doing calculations. So, this is another example for work done and how work is calculated. Here an object is kept on a surface and force F is applying on it. So, under the application of this force, this object move a distance d. For work can be calculated as a product of force and the distance or the displacement of the object due to this force. So, we will do the same activity here. Now, I will take the same wooden block and this is the spring balance. You use this to measure the force or weight of an object. So, now I am going to pull this object or the wooden block using Newton balance. You know, in Newton balance you have a scale here. One scale is given in grams and the other scale is given in Newton. So, you have to get the reading in Newton scale. Now, I am going to pull this object or the wooden block. When it is not moving, work is not done. Now, I am going to move this here. Now, you can get the reading from the Newton balance. The force is 3 Newton and there is a displacement of the object as well. So, you can measure the displacement as well. As I told you, work is meaning of work in physics involves force and displacement. So, work is done here. Now, you can calculate the work done because you measured the force as well as you can measure the displacement taken place due to the application of this force. So, let us see another example like this. Now, here there is an object. This is the initial position of the object. So, under the application of force F, it has moved a distance d. So, work done, that is W, can be calculated by multiplying force by the distance. Now, when you are doing calculations related to work done, you should consider some important points. Object must move over some distance to calculate work done. Force and displacement must be in the same direction. You saw this thing in my previous activity. Force must be constant. So, let us do some calculations in order to understand the concept of work done clearly. So, first one, calculate the work done. You are given a picture. This child is trying to raise this object using a rope. So, rope is sent through a pulley. So, if the child wants to raise this object, he has to apply a force equal to the weight of it. That is, he has to apply a 10 Newton force to raise this object. Now you can see this object moved a vertical distance of 5 meters. So, before we do the calculation, remember children, you have to write the equation. So, this is the equation for work done, force into displacement. Then you have to apply values. Force here the child should give to raise the object is 10 Newton and the displacement is 5 meters. So, that you will get 50 Newton meter. Newton meter is not the unit of SI unit of work done. So, you have to give the answer as joule. So, it is 50 joule. Remember, I told you earlier 1 Newton meter equals 1 joule. So, 50 Newton meter equals 50 joule. Let us do another calculation for work done. Here another picture is given. Look at this picture. A weight is kept 2 meter height above the ground level. This man is trying to bring this object down. So, the weight is object is given as 10 Newton. So, this man has to apply 10 Newton force to bring it down. So, force here 10 meters and it came from here to here. So, the displacement is 2 meters. So, first of all, as usual, you have to write the equation. Work done equals force into displacement. Then you have to apply values. Force is 10 Newton and the displacement you can hear is 2 meters. Then you will get 20 Newton meter for work done. You have to mention it using the unit joule. So, it is 20 joule. Third calculation. Calculate the work done if 20 Newton force is applied on an object and displaces it by 5 meters. You can see this picture. 20 Newton force is applied and it moved 5 meter. So, the displacement is 5 meter. So, first of all you have to write the equation as usual. So, work done equals force into displacement. I know now you are familiar with this equation. Force is 20 Newton and displacement is 5 meters. So, work done is 100 joule. So, you all can join with me to do the rest of the calculations. So, do this with me. Weight of an object is 25 Newton and the object is lifted to a vertical distance of 3 meters. So, you are asked to calculate the work done. Now, you can write the equation first and then apply values. Are you trying? Yes. So, this is the way you should do the sum. First, you have to write the equation, that is force into displacement, and then apply values. Force is 25 Newton and displacement is 3 Newton. So, work done is 75 joule. So, try this one as well. So, this problem or calculation is little bit different from the previous one. Force that is applying on the object is not given here. Instead of that, you are given mass of the object as 4 kilogram. I hope you know the equation to calculate the weight when the mass is given. That is, weight is a product of mass into gravitational acceleration. So, mass here is 4 kilogram and the gravitational acceleration, you know what it is. Gravitational acceleration is Earth's gravity towards any object on the earth. So, it is 9.8 meters per square second, but in calculations we use the rounded off number, that is 10 meters per square second. So, mass is 4 kilogram and the gravitational acceleration is 10 meters per square second. So, you will get the weight of the object as 40 Newton. Then now you know, if you want to raise an object vertically upwards, you have to apply a force equal to its weight. So, force is 40 Newton and the displacement is 5 meters. So, that you will get 200 joules for work done. So, that is all about work. We learned what the work is and then we learned an equation to calculate work done and we did some calculations. Now, with that knowledge, we are going to move into energy. What is energy? Energy is the ability or capacity to do work. An object that can do more work is said to have more energy. I will give you an example. Bicycle and motorcycle. Which one is having more energy? Definitely motorcycle. Motorcycle can do more work than the bicycle. So, motorcycle has more energy than the bicycle. Since the energy is ability or capacity to do work, the unit of energy is same as the unit of work done. So, it is joule. So, symbol you know it is by now J. If you want to measure a large amount of energy, you have to use kilojoule. I will give you one example for that. Now, you are measuring sugar at home. So, if you want to measure a small amount of sugar, you use grams, and if you want to measure a large amount of sugar, you have to use kilograms. Same way, small amount of energy is measured in joule and large amount of energy is measured in kilojoule. There are various types of energy we use in our day-to-day activities. They are mechanical energy, heat energy, electric energy, magnetic energy, light energy and sound energy. But today we are not going to learn all these types of energy. We are concentrating only on mechanical energy. Now, let us define what the mechanical energy is. So, mechanical energy is energy used to displace a body or to change the position of the body or to deform a body. There are two types of mechanical energy. They are potential energy and kinetic energy. Potential energy is the energy stored in an object due to its position or change in shape or configuration. In contrast, kinetic energy is the energy possessed by a moving object. Now, we are going to learn about potential energy in detail. Potential energy can be acquired by objects in two different ways. First one is due to change in position, and due to change in shape, objects acquire potential energy. So, let us see some examples. In these two pictures, you can see, let us do the first picture first. Hammer is raised. When the hammer is raised, it changed its position. Initially it was here and now it is here. So, it changed its position. So, to bring the hammer to the new position, we have to do work. So, that energy is stored in hammer as potential energy. This is a waterfall. Here water is kept at a height. So, it stores potential energy. Let us see some more examples. In this example, here these objects acquire energy due to change in shape. Stretching rubber band and compressing or releasing spring. They change their shape and store potential energy. Let us do a small activity to show this. Here this is a rubber band, and when I stretch it like this, here I am stretching the rubber band. When I stretch the rubber band like this, it can store potential energy in it. And this is a spring. When I stretch the spring, it can store potential energy. Here I am stretching the spring now, and it store potential energy. This is another spring where I used to compress. When I compress the spring like this, it store potential energy in it. So now you know various objects acquire potential energy in various ways due to change in position and due to change in shape. So there are two types of potential energy depending on how they acquire potential energy. First is gravitational potential energy. Here energy is stored in an object due to Earth's gravity. The two examples I showed you earlier, falling things that kept at height, that is a waterfall, and hitting on a nail using a hammer. And second type of potential energy is elastic potential energy. That is the energy stored in an object due to change in shape. So these are the two examples and two activities I did with you: stretching rubber band and compressing or stretching a spring. So now you learned how these objects acquire potential energy. So these objects acquire potential energy and they are waiting to be released. That is why we call it potential energy. These objects have the capability or the potential of doing work. Now we will see how these objects get energy to store. So this diagram shows hammer is raised, you know potential energy stored in it, but you do not know how these objects store potential energy. As I told you earlier, when I raise the hammer, I have to do, when lifting objects upwards, work is done on the object. Here, when we raise the hammer, work is done on the hammer. When we raise this object up to here, work is done on the object. When work is done on the object, we spend some energy to bring the object to the new position. So this energy is stored as potential energy. I told you the meaning of potential energy, that is, they are waiting to release the energy. Potential is they have the ability to do work. Now you know how the potential energy is stored in an object, and let us see how the work is done using this potential energy. For that, I am going to do a small activity. This is a hammer and this is a wooden block and nail is fixed to it. So I raise the hammer like this, and when I raise the hammer, potential energy is stored in it. When it fall on the nail, work is done by the hammer on the nail. So force is applied by the hammer on the nail. So there is a force, and when the hammer falls on the nail, there is a tiny displacement of nail into the wood. So there is a displacement as well. So work is done. So now you know potential energy can do work, because to drive the nail through the wood, energy is given by raised hammer. So it acquire potential energy because of its height. Now you know potential energy can do work on another object like this. Nail drive through the wooden block. Now we are going to derive an equation for gravitational potential energy. Equation for work done can be written like this, that is the product of weight of the object and vertical distance travelled. You are familiar with this equation as well, that is weight of an object equals to the mass of the object multiplied by the gravitational acceleration. So, work done can be written like this. So, here what I did was I used these two terms instead of weight of the objects here. So, the equation for work done is mass of the object into the gravitational acceleration into vertical distance travelled. Children, now you know work done on the object is stored as potential on energy. So, that I can write work done on the object equal to potential energy. So, I can write the previous equation that we have derived for work done like this. So, instead of work done, I applied potential energy here because work done on the object equals to potential energy. So, now you can see potential energy equals mass of the object into gravitational acceleration into vertical distance travelled. So, gravitational potential energy is mgh. Here we wrote the equation using symbols, m for mass of the object, g for gravitational acceleration and h for vertical distance travelled. So, simply we can write gravitational potential energy as mgh. So, this is the equation we are going to use in our calculations. Let us do some calculations related to gravitational potential energy. I am sure when we do these calculations, you will understand the concept of gravitational potential energy very well. So, the first calculation, you are asked to find the gravitational potential energy when an object with a mass of 3 kg is raised vertically upwards by 2 meters. You can see a diagram here. This is the initial position of the object. Now, the object is here. This is the new position of the object. You have to calculate the gravitational potential energy of this object. So, first of all, as usual, you have to write the equation for gravitational potential energy. So, gravitational potential energy, I use the symbol EP for that, equals mgh. So, you can apply values now. You know m mass is 3 kg, g is a constant value, that is 10 meters per square second, and this is the h or the displacement of the object. So, by simplifying this, you will get gravitational potential energy equal to 60 joule. Let us do another calculation. Fruit on a tree has a mass of 200 grams. Vertical height of the fruit from the ground is 3 meters. You are asked to calculate the gravitational potential energy of the fruit. As I told you earlier, first you have to write the equation. Remember children, in your examinations, you will get marks for writing an equation as well. So, write the equation. Gravitational potential energy, I use the symbol EP here as well, equals mgh. Now, you have to consider one thing. The mass of the object is given in grams. When you are substituting values, we have to apply values in SI units. So, SI unit of mass is kilogram. You have to convert 200 gram into kilogram, dividing 200 by 1000, and you know the value of g, that is 10 meters per square second, and height, vertical height is mentioned here as 3 meters. Then you will get a value for gravitational potential energy as 6 joule. So, let us do another calculation related to gravitational potential energy. You all can join to do the calculation with me. I hope you can do it now. Potential energy stored in an object with a mass of 20 kg or kilogram is 80 joule. You are asked to calculate the vertical height of the object from the ground. This problem is little bit different from the previous ones we did. Here you are not asked to calculate the gravitational potential energy. Instead of that, you are asked to calculate the vertical height of the object. So, again you have to write the same equation for gravitational potential energy. So, you can apply values you are given. So, you are given gravitational potential energy as 80 joule, and you know the mass of the object is 20 kilogram, and you know the value for gravitational acceleration as 10 meters per square second. You do not know h, so we write the symbol as it is. So, now this is a simple algebraic equation. So, you can solve it and get a value for the height, vertical height of the object. So, now we learnt about gravitational potential energy and how to solve problems related to gravitational potential energy. Now, we are moving into factors affecting gravitational potential energy. So, this is the equation you are familiar with for gravitational potential energy, mgh. Now, let us see the factors affecting gravitational potential energy. First factor is the mass of the object, and the second factor is height of releasing the object. There are two activities to show how these two factors affect gravitational potential energy. So, this is the first one. How does the vertical height of the object affect gravitational potential energy? Here you can see an object is kept here at a height and it is about to fall on the ground. This is not a normal ground. To do this activity, we apply or we spread some clay on this surface. So, the thickness of the clay surface is about 3 centimeters. Then we release the weight or the object on the clay surface. So, when you release the object on the clay surface, it will make a hole like this. We call it a depression. So, next we change this height, but not changing the object. We use the same object, and in the second instance we change the height of the object and measure the depth of the depression caused by the object on the clay surface. In the second instance, we change the height. We change the height and we use the same object. We change the height and release the object and then measure the depth of the depression caused by the object on the clay surface. You have to repeat the procedure with the same weight from different heights. So, you will get results something like this. So, these are the expected results. So, vertical heights are given 0.1, 1, 0.5, 1 and 1.5. So, the depth of the depression caused 0.3, 0.6 and 0.9 centimeters respectively. So, you can see a clear pattern here. When the vertical height of releasing the object is increasing, the depth of the depression is also increasing. That is what you saw. So, we can write it under observation. Depth of the depression increases with increasing the height of releasing the weight. So, what you learnt from this activity? That is what you should write under conclusion. So, here energy of the weight increases as the height of releasing the object or the weight increases. So, higher the weight of releasing the object, higher the potential energy in it. So, it can do more work. That is why the depth of the depression increases when increasing the vertical height. I think it is clear to you now. Now, let us do the second activity to find how the mass of the object affect the gravitational potential energy. We are doing the same activity of releasing an object from a height. Here what we change is the mass of the object. We are not changing the height. We want to see how the mass of the object affects gravitational potential energy. So, height is same in all the instances. So, for that we take a plastic bottle with sand. First, we fill quarter of the plastic bottle with sand and release it on the clay surface as in the previous activity and measure the depth of the depression caused. And next, we fill half of the bottle with sand and release it from the same height and measure the depth of the depression caused by the weight on the clay surface. So, you can repeat the procedure with the bottle filled 3/4 of it with sand and completely fill the bottle with sand and release it from the same height and measure the depth of the depression caused by the bottles in each instance on the clay surface. So, you will get results like this. So, these are the expected results as I told you earlier. These are not the real values. So, when the mass of the object is increasing like this 0.5, 0.75, 1 and 1.5 kilogram and the depth of the depressions on the clay surface 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8 centimeters respectively. So, what you can see from the table? You can see a clear pattern again. When the mass of the object is increasing, the depth of the depression caused by the object on the clay surface is also increasing. So, you can write it under observations, that is the depth of the depression on the clay surface increases with increasing the mass. So, the conclusion of this activity is potential energy of object increases with increasing mass. Now, you know when the mass is increasing, potential energy stored in that object is also increasing. So, it causes a deeper depression. Here you have another example to show the relationship between gravitational potential energy and the mass of the object. Here you can see the mass is increasing. So, it shows how the potential energy is increasing. Here the second diagram also shows more mass, more potential energy. So, this one has more potential energy in it. So, now we learned the first type of potential energy, that is gravitational potential energy. I told you there is another type of potential energy, that is elastic potential energy. We defined it already, but we will do the definition again. Potential energy stored in an object as a result of applying a force to deform an object. is known as elastic potential energy. Two examples, stretching a spring or rubber band. In this diagram, in this instance, no stretching or no compressing. So, it is in the normal state, no elastic potential energy stored in it. In the second instance, spring is stretched, so it has elastic potential energy. And in this instance, spring is compressed, so it has elastic potential energy. This diagram I think is familiar to you. This is a catapult. Here this is the wooden part and there is a rubber band here. So, when you stretch the rubber band, energy is stored in it, elastic potential energy is stored in it. And if you hold a paper ball or a stone here, and when you release the rubber band, that paper ball or stone is travelling to some distance. So, when the rubber band is stretched, elastic potential energy is stored in it, and when it is released, elastic potential energy in the rubber band is transferred to the paper ball or the stone and converted into kinetic energy, and this paper ball travelled to some distance. So, I will do energy transformations in my next lesson. So, this is another example to show elastic potential energy. Here the picture shows a bow and arrow. Here the bow is not stretched or compressed, but its shape is changed. By changing the shape, potential energy can be stored. When the bow is released, energy is transferred from the bow to the arrow, so that arrow move further apart. So, as I told you earlier, energy transformations will be done in my next lesson. This is all about elastic potential energy. Before I wind up the lesson, I would like to tell you what we have done today. We did work done by applying a force, equations for work done, two forms of mechanical energy. We learned potential energy in detail, and we learned two types of potential energy, equations for gravitational potential energy, factors affecting gravitational potential energy, and we demonstrated the factors affecting gravitational potential energy. We learnt elastic potential energy, and at last we solved some problems related to work done and gravitational potential energy. I hope you understood the lesson very well today and enjoyed the lesson. See you again in another day with interesting science lesson. Stay safe, children. Have a good day.